to Europe now and the pain in Spain. Investors have had the jitters all week as the peseta finally drops about the health of the economy and the potential impact on the Spanish banks. I say peseta, well, it's potentially the country's potential future as well as the old money, of course. Well, I'm joined now from London by David Buik from BGC Partners. David, good morning.
Good morning and good evening to you, Tiki.
13.5 billion euros to raise in Spanish and French bond auctions today. How did they go?
Like a rocket. You wouldn't believe it. On Tuesday, recall, we had 3.17 billion euros worth of 1 year and 18-month bills. And it's not exactly rocket scientists to say, get the Spanish banks to buy it and go to the ECB and borrow your money for 3 years at 1%. So we could assume today that the 2-year bonds went at 3.4%, and at 1% that looks like pretty tidy business to me too. But what we were really interested in, Tiki, was the fact that the 10-year bond, which was about 1.5 billion, went at 5.74% easily. They were 3 times oversubscribed for it. The 2-year bonds, they were 2 times oversubscribed. What is interesting to me that with all the negative chat on Spain and with the 10-year yield earlier in the week breaching through the 6% barrier, I am personally astonished. But the market seems to be gung-ho, fixed bayonet and over the top, that they feel that Spain is too big to fall, and whatever happens, the European Union will encompass it with love, affection and understanding, and more to the point, financial support. Yeah,
it was quite interesting because yesterday, of course, you had that big drop on the Spanish market and that announcement about the huge amount of bad debt in Spain. And actually, the yield was actually slightly higher than the last 10-year auction, I think, but crucially below the 6% mark, as you say.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's very significant. I'm surprised at the, how can I put it, the really upbeat feeling. But I think it comes commensurate with the fact that we are beginning to see signs around the world, particularly in the United States, where the quality of first quarter earnings are much better than we actually thought they would be. I mean, all the banks have been particularly good, with the possible exception of Citigroup. Even yesterday, we had eBay that came up with an astonishing increase in profits, which was very good. And even companies such as, well, I shouldn't say even, like Marriott did terribly well, Yum Brands, you know, all these things have improved and posted better than expected. So this morning in Europe, we're in positive territory at the moment. There's a feeling that with the exception of the Spanish and Greek banks, that they're getting their act together, despite Madame Lagarde saying, you know, you need to do something about it. These people, we've got to give them some credit for not being stupid. They know how bad some of the toxic debt they've had in the last 5 years. Hopefully, in getting their balance sheet sizes down, they've been getting rid of some of this in small packages to less suspecting people, I suspect.
Yes,
if that is happening... go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I ask you about Madame Lagarde? Because the IMF has been obviously rattling the tin, raising more money around the world. But interestingly, the IMF also talked about a second round of austerity, £50 billion of cuts in the UK. That must have gone down like a bomb.
Well, it didn't go down too well, but it's for old codgers like me. I mean, what she's very, very concerned about, which is understandable, is the sick and the needy and the very old and infirmed. Because as we're all living much longer, the pension bill is obviously gargantuan by comparison. But I think you'll find that governments around the world will say to people like me, if you want to retire at 65, dream on, pay for yourself. So it's going to be somewhere between 68 and 70 as we go forward. And that, I think, will take care of it. I think it's just saber-rattling, Tiki, and she's just throwing a boulder in the water, hoping to create some nice waves. But we saw that one coming.
Briefly, bright spot, US earnings better than expected.
Far better than expected. Really excited as well. And this afternoon we've got Microsoft. Hopefully that will come in. We've got Philip Morris and all kinds of other very interesting companies coming to post, you know, decent figures, we think. The US future seems to have opened positively as well.
David Buik, nice to talk to you, sir.
And you too.